Hey, what's happening, YouTubers? We're back with another top 10 list. And this list is going to be similar to what I did last year. And what I mean by that, it's that time of the year where everyone's doing their top 10 list. And while I'm compiling mine, I thought I might as well do what I did last year and have a separate list for Spider-Man. But unlike last year, where we just had a bunch of Spider-Man themed figures or Spider-Verse figures just because it was Spider-Man, this year was a reason for that. It's because it was the 60th anniversary. So naturally, Hasbro released a crap ton of Spider-Man figures this year. Like, no joke, we had the Retro Carded wave, the 60th anniversary wave, we had the Bagman exclusive, we had the Walmart exclusive. And while I'm on that, my list is going to compile all those groups of figures. But just for some transparency, I didn't get that Walmart exclusive cell shaded one. And let's be honest, the way Walmart distributes their exclusives, they suck at it. So what I've done is I've compiled my top 10 list of Spider-Man figures of 2022. Now, operative word being my list, because it's always subjective. You can always tell me which ones your top 10s are. You can disagree with mine or agree, whichever you want to do. But let's get started with some honorable mentions before I kick off the official top 10 list. Before we officially kick off the list, I want to start with two honorable mentions. First honorable mention I want to give is to the retro carded Ben Reilly Spider-Man. While personally I would have preferred the Scarlet Spider figure, if they were going to do a Ben Reilly figure, I still appreciate this updated version from the original one that Hasbro released in the Absorbing Man Build-A-Figure wave, because that one was on the Pizza Spidey book. Next honorable mention I want to give is to the retro carded Deluxe Rhino. Now, while this is essentially just a reissue of the Build-A-Figure, it does have two improved and way better, in my opinion, head sculpts. It does have a nicer light gray wash as opposed to the original BAF, and to me, figures like these are why I appreciate Hasbro Marvel Legends, because it allows collectors new and old to backtrack or gives them an opportunity to add character in their collection. The fact that this was a BAF or Deluxe is even better. Now on to the top 10, and kicking the list off at number 10, we have Peter Parker from the Homecoming Toon Pack with Ned. This is a nicely engineered figure and has everything you'd want in a Peter Parker buck for both MCU and even comic. Has the pinless joints, backpack as an accessory, and one improved MCU Peter Parker head sculpt because the other one looks like Crispin Glover. If I had to make a prediction, I'd say Hasbro is probably going to re-release this figure when Spider-Man Freshman Year releases on Disney+. Sending shockwaves through at number 9, we have the retro carded Shocker. Much like the figures already listed, this figure gave collectors a Shocker to add to their Spider-Man Rogue gallery. Even though it's a different iteration than the one that came out in the Sandman wave, it is improved in terms of sculpting and engineering, sporting the pinless joints and the fact that they sculpted lines on his suit. Granted, they weren't painted on. Even the way the additional hand sculpts were a nice touch by having the whole gauntlets removed so that they could preserve the sculpt of the gauntlets with no cuts. It's a nice upgrade for sure. Turning back time and traveling in the 1970s, we have Japanese Spider-Man at number 8, most notably recognized by most as Spider-Man. It was interesting to see Hasbro's take on this specific version. While during my initial review of this figure I was pretty meh in terms of the execution for the articulation of the body mold they chose to use, I still appreciate the fact that they tackled this specific version of Spider-Man. It's something I definitely never would have thought Hasbro would do. It especially gave collectors a chance to have this version on their shelves and in their collection if they missed out on the SHF version. Is this better than that one? Yeah, no. Hammering through at number 7, we have the retro carded Hammerhead. If you caught my top 10 Marvel Legends of 2022 so far this past summer, then you'd have to expect this on the list. Much like I mentioned in that video, it's a nice reuse of the Happy Hogan suited body and makes for awesome kit bashing potential or army build for henchmen. But more importantly, as Hammerhead himself, it's pretty damn nice. That head sculpt is fantastic. The expression and sculpting work is pretty top notch in my opinion. Coming in at number 6, we have the retro carded Fantastic Bagman Target exclusive. This attire and run of Spider-Man is so freaking trippy, wild, and silly, and because of that, it makes for an awesome figure. Collectors were asking for this since the return of Marvel Legends. While yes, it is a very specific and deep-cut version of Spidey, it still has room for your Spider-Man collection or Fantastic Four collection. It had been the first time we had seen it in figure form since the days of the Marvel Universe line. Breaking through into the top 5, at number 5, we have the Venom from the Life Foundation's 3-pack Amazon exclusive. For the past few years, collectors and reviewers had been campaigning that Marvel Legends team give us a proper Venom figure. And that's due to the underwhelming reception collectors gave the previous release Venom figures that Hasbro gave us in the Hyperion body mold. While yes, that's all the Hasbro team had at the time, it all changed in 2018 when the Omega Red body mold was introduced. Naturally, collectors saw this and were clamoring for a Venom figure on this buck. While we did get one in figure form last year in the retro carded cell shaded version, it had the shoulder peg holes that were exposed and also it was cell shaded. It's no secret if you've seen my reviews, I'm not a fan of cell shading. Anyways, fast forward to the present day 2022 and we finally got it. Granted, it required a 3-pack paywall, but hey, you get to complete your Life Foundations team if you had been wanting to. It doesn't take away of how amazing this figure is in terms of aesthetics. Paul Harding did an amazing job with these head sculpts, especially this one. It's very reminiscent of the Diamond Select version, but this one is a much cleaner and better sculpted, and very well deserved to be in the top 5. Next up at number 4, we have Ned Leeds from the Homecoming 2-pack with Peter Parker, based on his appearance in Spider-Man Homecoming. Now, this might be a weird pick for some out there, but, again, this is my top 10 Spider-Man figures, Spider-Man theme figures of 2022, and it's my opinion. So you're free to disagree, but this is a sentimental one. Some of you may or may not know that I am Filipino, and some of you may or may not know that the actor portraying Ned Leeds, Jacob Batalon, is also Filipino. Well, some of you might sigh or roll your eyes when I say this, but it's true. Representation matters. To me, this is surreal. To see a figure from a line that I've been collecting for a long time now have a figure made from a person of Filipino descent is surreal. Much like hearing Tagalog spoken for the first time in the MCU during Spider-Man No Way Home. It's pretty surreal times. Now, if we can just have a figure of Ned's Lola made. Swinging through at number 3, we have the Amazing Fantasy Spider-Man. Well, this and the number 2 pick could have easily been interchangeable. I had to keep some objectiveness on my list. But it's the first time we had gotten Amazing Fantasy Spider-Man in figure form since the Toy Biz Marvel Legends days. And wow, what a huge improvement since then. This figure is entirely pinless, has amazing articulation range that can get you the signature Spider-Man poses. Add to the fact that it does come with a plethora of accessories. The only thing I didn't like in this figure are the way the web wings were designed and engineered. But the figure holds true to its name, amazing. Tearing down the scalper walls for the previous retro-carded Spider-Man at number 2, we have the Renew Your Vows Spider-Man from the 2-pack with Spinneret. I'm going to keep this short and sweet because I'm specifically working on a comparison video for this figure. It sits at number 2 on my list because it took everything that was good about that retro-carded Spider-Man that came out in 2020 and just basically upgraded it. Pinless joints that fixed those ugly red pins that were an issue in the arms. It kept the same great articulation scheme, and in addition to that, added one more, toe articulation. So there, Renew Your Vows at number 2. At number 1, standing above the rest, we have the retro-carded Symbiote Suit Spider-Man, aka the Just J. Hernandez Spider-Man. If you caught the live stream I did with Just J. Hernandez during the summer, or my top 10 Marvel Legends of 2022 so far, you had to have known this was coming. This figure to me was what the retro-carded Spider-Man was for me in 2020. So many things, but where to start? First, we get a Symbiote Suit Spider-Man, one we haven't seen since the Sandman Build-A-Figure wave, and I'm not counting that Kingpin version because, ew. That Sandman wave version was and currently still is going for mad bread in the aftermarket. But this is a nice upgrade and alternative as it has much more improved articulation scheme compared to the Pizza Spidey buck. It's essentially the retro-carded Spider-Man but in a black suit, which brings me to my next reason. It didn't need to be pinless because everything is all black in terms of aesthetics. It looks fantastic. In fact, I'd almost go as far as saying that this version of Spidey almost looks better than the traditional blue and red suit. But then again, that's just my opinion. This has been the most fun figure for me to pose around and has been my pocket figure for most of 2022. While it's been pushed aside because Mafex's version just came out, there's no denying this version was dominating most of 2022 for toy photographers. I think one of the coolest things to come from this figure was seeing toy photographers recreating that classic Secret Wars cover. A fun figure for sure, and my favorite Spider-Man figure of 2022. And there you have it, YouTubers, my top 10 Marvel Legends Spider-Man theme of 2022. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you agree or disagree, cool, sound off. And like always, if you like what you see, be sure to hit that like button. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. Thanks for watching.